In this video, I'm going to show you how to quickly create a simple transition effect here in Keynote, and then export that presentation as a video with attached soundtrack and narration. But first, let me quickly show you what I have here in this slideshow. First, let me apologize for the cheesy nature of the subject of this presentation. I merely wanted to create something that was simple and stylistically consistent. This seemed like a good starting point. Okay, and that's really all there is to it. I'm going to escape that. There's just three things that I want to show you here. And the first is that transition between photographs where the photographs both fade in and shift their position. This particular transition is known as the Ken Burns effect. Ken Burns, the famous documentary filmmaker, used this sort of image transition a lot in his historical documentaries where there was no moving video and had to make his photographs dynamic. Let me just quickly show you how that was done here in this presentation. I'm going to click on the last of these slides here in my slides inspector, and I have nothing on here. Let's insert a photo from our list, and I'm going to just insert that in here. Now this photograph isn't large enough to fill this entire screen. Normally I would want that to be the case, but I'm just going to resize it manually like this. And I'm going to enlarge it a bit larger than that. And essentially what I would like to have happen, I would like to have this image fade in roughly about here and then slide across the screen to about here. And as it's moving, I want it to fade up from 0% opacity to 100% opacity. Let's do the move first. To do that move, let's begin it in its starting location. I'm going to click on the Animate section here in my inspectors. I'm not going to use the build-in method. This build-in method makes movements very simple, but it also restricts what we can do afterwards. The one that I want to work with is this Action section here. And I'm going to add an effect. And you'll see that there are some properties that we can immediately add. There's also some emphasis elements here. You may want to experiment with those, but I'm not going to use them in this presentation. The first thing I want to do is I want to move this across the screen. And you'll see that there is an animation that is already created for us here. This white square here indicates the center of our image at its starting location, and here's the center of our image at its ending location. If I want to change this though, I just need to click on that second white square and bring that over and down where I was thinking I wanted it to end. So there is my move. If I want to see what that move looks like, I can come over here and click preview and see that that moves down and to the right like I wanted, but it moves too quickly. I want this duration to be like the other transitions in this presentation, about 3 to 4 seconds long. I'm going to change that duration to 4 seconds. If I preview that, you can see I have something that is much more gentle and fitting with the rest of the presentation and music. I also want it to fade from 0% opacity up to 100% opacity. Now I can do that by coming over here to my Animate section and adding an action. And I'm going to change its opacity. Okay, now something else has happened here. You can see we now see the properties for the opacity. If I click on preview, you can see that it's fading, but fading down, and that doesn't seem to be like what I want at all. What's happening here is you can see there's my duration. Again, my duration is much shorter than I want it to be. I don't want it to take the full 4 seconds for that image to fade up. I'm going to change that to about 2 seconds there. The issue that I'm having right now though is that the image is going from 100% opacity down to 50% opacity, which is really not what I want at all. I want it to go from 0 to 100. In order to make this transition work, I'm going to take this value here and make it 100. That is essentially its ending value. Now I'm going to manually have to change the image's starting value for its opacity. And I'm going to come back here and I'm just going to click on that image once. I'm only seeing the starting image here. If I wanted to see how that animation was happening, I just need to click on that red diamond. But to work on the image itself, I'm just going to click off here so that I don't see that and then choose that image. With that image selected, I now need to make it 0% opacity. I'm going to do that by coming over to my Format section, and underneath Style, you can see there is an opacity slider, and I'm going to make that 0%. Now there's one last thing I need to do in order to make this thing work automatically. I'm going to come over to my Animate section, and now I'm going to come down to the bottom here, and I'm going to click on Build Order. And now what this allows us to do is determine how these individual animations work together. Currently, these are two separate animations. The first one is the move, the second one is the opacity. But I'd like to have both of them happen together, and I'd like to have both of them happen automatically. Let's do the automatic thing first. I'm going to click on this very first animation, and I'm going to come down here to where it says Start. Currently, it's set to start on click. But I'm going to choose after transition. That means as soon as this slide starts, that animation is going to begin. Now I'm going to choose the second of these animations, which is the opacity change, and I'm going to change that to with build 1. Now, when this animation starts automatically, so will this. Let's check this out in the preview. I'm going to come up to my play button and play slideshow. There we go. And that is the simple Ken Burns effect that I was looking for. One thing to notice is that all of these slides have their own animation transitions applied to them. When I click on the slide, I can come over to the Animate section here, and you'll notice that there is in fact a transition already applied here. I could change that, but I like this simple dissolve. But if I want to, I can choose some other type of transition. More importantly, I want to draw your attention to the fact that each one of these slides starts automatically, meaning that when I go to turn this into a video, I don't need to sit here and click through the video. It will play on its own. Let's talk quickly about how we can add some audio to our presentation. To do that, I'm going to come over to the Document section. The Document Inspector has two different sections, Document and Audio. Let's come over here to Audio, and you can see that I have some sound here already. This is a royalty-free soundtrack that I found online. Let me quickly show you where I found this. I did a very quick Google search for royalty-free music and found a number of different sites. The one that I've chosen is this one here called Ben Sound. I like Ben Sound because of the way it's organized. The first thing that you'll notice is across the top here, there are genres of music. I've chosen the cinematic section, and the very second one in this list here is this one called Better Days. When I click download, you can see I get this little disclaimer about how I can use it. If I want to use it in a commercial application, I can pay for it. But with not a commercial application, I don't have to pay for anything, and I'll just download it here. This will be put into your iTunes library, as you see here. When I come back to Keynote, if I want to add that audio to my presentation, I just need to click on this button right here, which will bring up my iTunes audio list. And what I want to do is come here to Playlist, and come to Recently Added, and you'll see there is the soundtrack that I've just downloaded from the website. I have some choices as to how this is played. I can play it once or loop it. I can even turn it off, but I want to have this playing automatically in the background. Finally, let's add a narrated element. I'm going to come to the Play drop-down menu. I'm going to select Record Slideshow. And that brings me into this navigator view. And what I'm seeing here in this screen is the current state of my presentation. This screen shows me where I'm going to be moving to in my next step. And you can see that my audio is being captured here. I'm going to click on the record button and get a countdown. The black and white portrait. Press the record button again to stop that. Click on the X to get out of this, and we now have a recorded narration over top of our audio track. If you want to hear it, come back to Play Recorded Slideshow. The black and white portrait. All right, I'm going to get out of there. I don't want to watch that all over again. The Audio is a little bit loud. I might want to record that again. If I do want to record that again, I just need to clear the recording and choose Record Slideshow again. I'm going to accept this, and what I want to do now is export this entire presentation as a single video. To do that, I'm going to come to the File drop-down menu, come to Export to, and choose QuickTime. Now, the only choice that you need to make here is what size are you going to export this as. If we were to put this video on the internet, on YouTube for example, 720p would be perfect. So in fact, I'm going to choose 720p, but if I wanted something higher resolution that would be seen on a regular high definition screen, then I might choose 1080p. And I'm going to make sure that slideshow recording is selected, and I'm going to select Next. And it'll ask me what folder to put this in. I've got a folder called Keynote Demo, and I'm going to just choose Export. It will create that movie. Let's go take a look at it. There's my Demo 2. And there is my video.
The black and white portrait.
All right, we won't look at that again. But there is my movie file, 27 megabytes for that 10 seconds of video, but that is the nature of video. This video is now ready to be put onto YouTube. To load this onto YouTube, you just need to make sure that you're logged into your Google account, go to YouTube, and click this Upload button. Choose the video you want, choose, and it will start to upload. When it's done, click the Publish button, copy the URL right here, and send that to me. And now you're done.